The black owner of 14 McDonald's franchises is accusing the fast food company of racial discrimination. Former Oakland A's baseball player Herbert Washington filed a civil rights lawsuit against the fast food chain earlier this week. He claims he was forced to sell several of his stores to white owners. Washington says he was also denied opportunities to buy restaurants in more affluent neighborhoods. The lawsuit accuses McDonald's of ensuring, quote, black franchisees would never achieve the levels of success that white franchisees could expect. And Herbert Washington joins me now. He built the country's largest black-owned McDonald's franchise operation, at one point owning 27 restaurants. Herbert, you were a major McDonald's franchise owner. What initially attracted you to the Golden Arches, and did something change for you over the years?
Thank you for having me this evening. What attracted me was the fact that, the McDonald's system and those arches are iconic. And anyone who would have an opportunity to participate with McDonald's as a franchisee would love to do it. Also, I had seen where in Cleveland, Ohio, in the late 60s, that African Americans had boycotted McDonald's to get a franchise because McDonald's was not allowing any blacks into their franchise system. And in many cases, weren't even waiting on black customers back in that time. So I thought it would be an attractive business opportunity if I could get into the McDonald's system.
And then did you notice something changed then for you, or did you was there actually something that changed, or did you become more aware of what you're describing as these hardships?
Well, what became abundantly apparent is that black owner-operators were directed and relegated to the inner cities, where the cost of doing business was considerably higher than our white counterparts. As an example, in the inner cities, oftentimes you had to have security. Security is a tremendous cost as it hits your P&L. Therefore, you don't have those pass-through dollars that my white counterpart didn't have to spend at $20 an hour for a security guard. And in some cases, black owners have had to have security from the time they open to the time that they close, depending upon how difficult that neighborhood might be. At the same time, McDonald's gets their monies from franchisees off the top. So before the taxes, all of that, McDonald's gets paid. No matter how much business you do or how little business you do, McDonald's always gets paid. They eat first. So it became apparent to me, I looked around. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, you tried to actually buy restaurants in affluent neighborhoods. Were you ever successful at that, or given explanation from the company about why you weren't allowed to expand into those areas?
I've tried to buy some restaurants while I was in New York, and McDonald's exercised their right of first refusal. At one point, those restaurants were rural. And McDonald's can control who owns restaurants because they can always use their right of first refusal. And once they do that, they can sell that restaurant to anyone that they choose to. And it was only after I said, why is it that all the black folk that I know have stores in the inner city? They're not in the suburbs. And it was only then that McDonald's started to listen to my complaint.
So we reached out. It's interesting that you say that McDonald's started to listen to your complaint, because we reached out to McDonald's. They have denied the accusations, and in a statement provided to CBSN, actually came after you, saying, quote, "This situation is a result of years of mismanagement by Mr. Washington, whose organization has failed to meet many of our standards on people, operations, guest satisfaction, and reinvestment." What is your response to McDonald's?
It's interesting, and I want the public to pay, everyone to pay very close attention. McDonald's did not address my claim of racism. McDonald's did not address the two-tier system that they have, whereby black owner-operators in the McDonald's system, our sales are lower than our white counterpart. Our profits are lower than our white counterpart. We, over a period of time, were directed to lower volume locations that were more difficult to address. The problem at McDonald's is this systemic racism that has prevailed since the beginning. There's a letter, 1996, Tom Dentiste, a senior VP in McDonald's, he wrote, and I quote, "We have not treated our Black owner-operators on par with our whites. We are going to fix it." That was 1996. And here we are in 2021 discussing the same issues. Do not get sidetracked with the same things that McDonald's says all the time. Mismanagement, these reviews and this. In every lawsuit, this is what they've said. Keep in mind, Herb Washington is not the only one who is making these claims. It is running rapid in McDonald's, the racism, and people are fed up, from crew people to ex-employees, ex-owners, and even current owners. There's a problem at McDonald's. They have to first admit it's a problem. Before you can fix a problem, you got to admit you have a problem. McDonald's doesn't want to admit they have a problem.
All right. Herbert Washington, thank you.
Thank you for having me.